What's up, everyone? So I uploaded a video about my cruise experience with the company Royal Caribbean a while ago, and this video is going to be an elaborated video just telling you all the ins and outs and dispelling all the myths that go around with cruises and giving you all the secrets to really benefiting from the cruise the most. And boy, do I have some secrets. And just as a disclaimer, this is just for the company Royal Caribbean, which is one of the biggest cruise companies in the entire world. And I know for a fact in my future I'll be going on at least one more cruise, and I'll probably be experiencing other cruise companies, so I may be doing a review on those. But this video is going to be just on Royal Caribbean, which is most likely the cruise company that you're going to have a cruise on. And so I spent a week traveling to and fro to Bermuda, and I just want to give you guys all the secrets about it, because there's a lot of bad stuff and good stuff that a lot of people don't realize about it. So let's just cut to the best stuff. The first thing that most people don't realize is that there is a lot of free food that you can get, good food, that you just don't realize because no one bothers to inform you. Why is this the case? Because I think it's a marketing ploy. They advertise and list all this stuff in the commercials and the brochures, but then to cut down costs, once you're already on board, they don't have no need to go up to every passenger and tell them, hey, all the good food and all the intricate, delicious, complex food you can get via these things. Now, this isn't always the case. Most people can find out where most of it is, but I'm just going to tell you the stuff that I'm pretty sure most people don't know. And it's simply due to the fact that my Asian family is very, very good at this sort of stuff, because they are by nature cheap Asians who want to get the most out of their experiences. And so, number one, it is the room service. Long story short, you can get room service for free. That's right, for free. You don't have to pay, because according to how it is set up, it is already part of the package. Now, why don't people do this? Because they don't realize it's free. You don't have to tip. You don't have to do anything. And the employees are very happy. I wouldn't say exuberantly happy, but they won't be disgruntled at all when they deliver the room service to you. I had it delivered 4, 5, 6 times during my time during the cruise, and they were pretty content with delivering it. They understand that you don't have to tip them. And so I got some pretty decent meals just in the afternoons while I was just sitting there in the cruise. And we'll get to that. We'll get to why I'm just sitting there in my room in the afternoons for the cruise. But that's one thing. And they have pretty decent menus for room service. So you just pick up the phone, order it, and they'll deliver extensive meals to your room. Simple as that. They have the menu actually covers appetizers, meals, snacks, and desserts just in that room service alone. So that's the first step. The second thing is something that I think if you want to get the most out of your cruise, you should do. They have these things called morning tours, and I think they may have afternoon tours too, but for sure they have morning tours. You have to get up early, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't do it. The morning tours, if you get a good tour guide, he or she will give you all the ins and outs of all the food. He or she will point you out at all the areas where you can get foods that most people don't realize. For instance, during our cruise, the tour guide pointed out, I didn't go on a tour, I didn't take the tour because it was too early for me, but all the members of my family did because they like to get up early. I don't. And basically the tour guide pointed out areas where you can get the most amazing types of extravagant cookies, chocolate chip chunk amazing, these enormous cookies for free, literally for free. But it is one subsection of a restaurant or a cafe or area that they have on board that for the most part costs money to get. So it's one of those things where it's like literally it's a Starbucks and everything there costs money except for this one little subsection in the middle of the store where you can point to like all these pastries and cookies and be like, I want that, and they'll give it to you for free. And it's those little things throughout the store. And honestly, you know, generally most people, even myself included, I was just too lazy at that point to even bother. But you know, I used it once or twice. I should have used it 10 to 20 times, brought off 50 cookies because they were extravagantly good. But because of laziness, I only brought 1 and 2. But again, better than the average Joe who doesn't even know about this sort of stuff. And so the tour guides, if they're lucky, will point out these little things if they know what they're doing. And I highly recommend you ask the tour guide because sometimes they know, but sometimes after the 5th tour they just forget because they're doing it over and over, or it's not part of their routine. It was part of our tour guide's routine because she was very savvy with things and wanted to tell everyone. But I advise you take a tour and on the down low maybe ask the tour guide, and you'll find all these areas because that's another big myth that you don't realize. There are a lot of restaurants and cafes and little shops and little fast food places on board. Not really fast food, but little cafes and Starbucks areas on board that cost real money to get, and it covers up a large area of this cruise ship. And so I'm going to sprinkle in a lot of the bad news because there's a lot of bad news too, and then I'll get back to the good news. Sorry to burst your bubble, but a lot of people, before ever going on a cruise, and I have a friend who said the exact same thing, they believe it is a city on water, some extravagant place to go. And for a lot of reasons, a lot of teens don't want to go on these places. And I'm not gonna lie, it's really a fun experience. But I'm gonna have to burst some of your guys' bubble. First and foremost, you're gonna have a lot of moments where there's nothing to do. I have to be completely honest. They have a full schedule of things that you can do from dawn till dusk on every day. But to be frankly honest with you, and even for you adults out there, most of these things are literally aimed to get you to blow more money. Like literally, like you look at these events and like some of them will have enticing names like spa promotion event or something even more enticing than that. Spa and massage demonstration event with free bags of promotions for the first 100 people. And so you're going to go to these events, and the first thing you'll notice is that 90% of the people there, 80%, are middle-aged, elderly individuals. Second thing you'll notice, these events are not as great as it seems. The whole thing is intended to make you buy this whole service package, or the promotional bags are just filled with literally nothing but promotions trying to get you to get stuff, and the coupons are also intended for you to buy stuff or buy this massage package, and it's a huge disappointment. And sure, there are decent events going on, like there might be limbo and stuff, but a lot of it is really focused towards getting you to spend more. You'll have these like watch events going on, then you show up at this event and those 2 watches that they're giving away is for a crowd of like 100 people, and they're like $10 watches, and then the whole hour-long event is literally aimed at you buying watches on board. And it's the same sort of thing, on and on and on, every single thing. Like you would show up at this bingo event, and it would be like, yeah, it's $20 to enter, and they spend the first 10 minutes promoting all these bingo gadgets that you can spend extra on, that will allow you to do nothing but just sit there, and it will pretty much play bingo for you. It'll cost extra, but there you go. And a lot of it appeals to a lot of different crowds, a lot of them being elderly folk. Why? Because Royal Caribbean did its homework, and it realized that most of its demographic are elderly, retired individuals who have decided to finally spend their retirement income. And so, you know, that's, with that said, let's get to the good stuff again. Like, I'm not saying the whole thing is a trash show. There are a lot of stuff on board. There's like a Wii on board, but again, you know, for an average kid, a lot of this stuff you've already sort of gone through. There's Wii on board. There's they have events where they literally, you know, give out medals and stuff. But for a lot of these events, like I showed up for this Wii event, which literally like 2 other people showed up for it. Why? Because a lot of the few kids and teenagers that go there, I'm not gonna lie, there's some there, but most of them are either adults already. Anyone around my age already either had a job, but they were still, you know, mid-20s, or they were with their family, and the ones who were there, they don't want to go to this sort of stuff. They just think it's stupid. I have a Wii at home, and literally, yeah, you're just playing Wii bowling on the screen with 2 other people. And what they do have for every event is they have bronze, gold, and silver medals in the emblem of Royal Caribbean. And man, I wanted one of those medals, and I actually have one here. I ended up leaving with about 2 or 3, but man, it took a lot to get, honestly. This is what it looks like. This is the silver medal, and I had I think 2 golds as well. It took a lot to get, honestly. I had to show up to a lot of these kid events, stuff like pretty much tossing rings into a cone, pretty much horseshoe, and I would try out for these things. And yeah, most of the people playing with me were like kids 10 years younger than me, but I wanted those gold medals, so I just kept going to these kid events, and I finally got a few of those because I wanted one of those medals, and I finally did. And so just for any kids that are going, they have a full daycare service, and with full program for the kids. So you literally drop your kids off at the daycare at this place, and they'll take care of it. But from my understanding, the kids are tolerant about it, but they're definitely not exuberant or excited to go to these things. They're like, oh, you're going to drop me off here again for the whole day? And from what I've been told, there's activities where you can win medals as well for the kids, which they're pretty excited about, but a lot of time it's just them watching movies in a fenced off area that looks really good and stuff, but you know. And let's get to the food, which is awesome. There's dining. Okay, there's a complete buffet area, and as a male, I'm obviously very excited about food. For females, you know, not as much. There's a whole area with a lot of food. There's a buffet area. It runs like the whole daytime, and then there's various other areas that have food running at different times. There's this like sandwich shop with plenty of sandwiches, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a whole floor where everything is not free. The rest is free. The buffet is always free and everything, and that switches in and out every day to different themed foods. And if you want to see more of that, see the footage from my video, click my name down below and search on my channel for that video and footage and pictures on the buffet and stuff. But there's a whole floor of this ship that is dedicated to literally restaurants, whether it's a Japanese sushi restaurant or a Chinese restaurant or an Italian restaurant, or just little cafes and areas, and everything costs money. It's not included in the package. and so obviously we avoided those areas. But there's a sandwich area, there's a whole buffet area that's in and out changing, and there's like a slushy, lemonade, water area. And I'm not gonna lie, these areas are obviously more crowded, and there's a little bit of a wait in line because it's free. And the restaurants obviously are very awesome because you have to pay for them and there's no wait. However, this is probably the best part of the cruise for me. The worst part is probably a lot of free time. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I would advise bringing a few books, maybe an iPad with some good apps on there. I mean, they have cable, but it's like a running, cycling over and over sort of thing. Why? Because you're in the middle of the ocean with not even satellite, and so. But yeah, I'm going off track. The best part was the dinner dining. So they had this whole area set up for legitimate dining, and I just felt so fancy going to this thing. I just felt like so rich and amazing, but at the same time, kind of weird because I understand how it is on the flip side with like these waiters and waitresses making minimal wage. They have tips, of course, afterwards, but how it's set up is you can tip them at the end of the week by just putting it all in an envelope and giving it to them if you want to. That's how it works. But I think you're assigned a table for the whole week, and every dinner you can go there with a whole group of people, and literally like you got your waiters and so forth, and it's this huge area with literally a banquet area, and I guess you're supposed to dress fancy. So females, dresses and stuff. Males, tuxedos or whatever. And it was just so fancy and just quite amazing. And I just felt so fancy and stuff. I wish I could do that all the time. Again, it gets old after a while, but it's pretty cool. And so it's a standard, I believe it's a standard 3-course meal, which is pretty decent. The appetizer, they serve those first, and then you got the main meal and then dessert, which I thought it was pretty darn amazing because they had legit food, and I just felt so fancy going around the table as they ordered the appetizers, the drinks, so fancy, honestly. And on top of that, the food was amazing. I mean, you got veal, you got pork, like steak, pork loins, all this amazing food, and literally like stuff that just has just fancy names in general. They had this freaking sort of bread that was covered in sort of dust, sugar of some sort that you could dip into this mixed fluid that literally they mix like 10 things together, and it tasted amazing. It was just sweet and amazing. And most of them had amazing weird names that you've never heard of, but obviously they had English descriptions, so you knew what they were pretty much. And it was the most bomb thing ever. Like from the appetizer, they had these like strawberry souffle fancy things, to the meats for the main course. Oftentimes, and I was so thankful to go with a large group, I wanted more than one things, and you could have ordered more than one things if you so wanted to. And so us being the cheap Asians we were, sometimes we did, and the waiters and waitresses didn't care that much. Sometimes they would grimace, but they didn't really care. And so we would order stuff, and lo and behold, being the cheap Asians we were, we ate as much as we could, but we had to throw out a lot of it because we wanted the most bang for our buck. But yeah, sometimes when they had veal or some amazing dish, like they had some amazing Italian dishes, extravagant garlic Italian pastas, and these amazing desserts like melted brownie on ice cream with all this crazy stuff going. And so you tend to order 2 desserts and 2 main courses, and then you try and hide that from everyone else watching so they don't notice. and I just like, it's hard to express, but I did upload the footage and pictures on that video mentioned earlier, so check those out. And I think that's the best way to express it. It was just amazing dishes, and no, I mean, there's no salads, but like, who would want a salad at that point? I mean, I'm sure there was a salad if you wanted to, but it's so hard to express how amazing the food was at these dinners. But it literally was the best part of it. Now to the truth of the matter, there was a lot of downtime. Again, they have a rock wall at the back. Been there, done that. Ping pong table. Been there, done that. And they had these like teen events or young adult events where you need to be 21 in order to get it. And the guy at the door who was like allowing you in or wasn't, he was a real meanie. I accidentally got the wrong card, and he just gave me the most angry look. He was like, he just looked at the card because it shows the picture, and I got the wrong card, and he just gave me like the WTF look on my face, like I was a stowaway or something. Like, please. Anyhow, I ended up getting the right card. Entering the venue, no one was there. Literally, no one was there except for some like parents, and it was absurd. Like, there were college students on board, but I'm not gonna lie, everyone is either there with their family, and everyone wants to do their own thing, and it's really hard to approach a girl when they're constantly with their family. More so than that, again, there were like a few people my age of the opposite gender, but again, it's I should have approached, honestly. I should have, but that's a story for another day. But just to give you a snapshot of the demographic, and yeah, these were girls that were on their own independently, and they were not surrounded by family members which barricaded you from approaching. But that's a story for another day. I should have approached those, but I didn't. For the most part, most of the girls are surrounded by family, and there's not too many of that age group. Mostly middle age, and mostly with their family. Moving on. Again, you get a lot of downtime, unfortunately, which ends up you just sitting in your room, not really sure what to do, spending time just doing stuff. There is a pool. I believe it's either one of the pools or all of the pools are saltwater pools. There's two big pools. Why? Because apparently they recycle the ocean water or something. I'm hoping that they filter it through so none of the fish get through or something like that. But again, it's salt water for one of the pools and clean water for the other, I believe. The clean one's in a different area, and it's capped, it's roofed. The saltwater one is not. And then there, in the same dining area during lunch times, you can order very similarly appetizer, lunch, and dinner. And that is a walk-in sort of thing. And again, it's free as well. Same thing with the dinner. And so in that same dining area, you can sit down, and it's arranged differently for more of a 2 to 3 person group, or 1 or 2 person group to just sit down and eat and order. And the food there is pretty nice as well. We're talking very extravagant, make your own salads you can get while you're waiting for your foods, and then you get your you can get a dessert if you want, but mainly it's like appetizer and a legit main course. And again, a lot of people, I feel like they don't exploit this, or I wouldn't say exploit it, but use it to their full potential. Most of the people there just rush through buffets every day and just call it a day. And I would say that these dining areas, which are free as well, house plenty of really decent, higher quality, fancier foods. We're talking Italian foods that have bizarre names but quite amazing, and then sandwiches of all types. And you get the point. And so these are walking things. I only went to the lunch thing once because my sleep schedule. You know, I get up pretty late, even if I go to sleep pretty or early, and I'm talking early as in midnight. So you get the idea. And that's generally how it goes. I would say the biggest problem with it is a lack of stuff to do. And unfortunately, based on the price and the whole idea behind it, for a person my age, it's just, you're not gonna get what you want, which is a house full of, you know, beautiful females, just chock full in that venue. Why? Because it's really expensive, and well, it's not that expensive, but it's more expensive than what most college students would go for, which is why they usually go for something like a spring break trip to some other area like Mexico or something like that. They don't go on cruises, and so again, biggest thing for me is just not a lot of stuff to do. They do have a lot of like dance and fitness and aerobic events on the main deck during the evening and nighttime, and more formal dance events and karaoke as well. But again, mostly families and elderly, middle-aged adults go attend these things. And if you do see people my age, they're with their families. And so again, that's the biggest problem for me. You just end up with a lot of hours where, you know, I'm just like, there's not much to do at all, and you're sitting in your room just bored. And I'm the one who takes the initiative. So literally, of the people I saw there, I was the only one going to these events just to try it out, because literally I like to break out of my comfort zone. And I would show up and I would realize that most of the people my age, in fact most of the people generally, would not show up to these events. Like literally the people who would show up would be like, I mean, some of them, like there would be like 20 to 30 people there for the trivia events, where you have one coordinator who literally ask trivia questions, and then we'll have 20 people who break off into groups, and then the winner gets a medal. But ultimately, you tend to notice by the sheer size of the amount of people on board that most of the people are not going to these events. Like you'll get a decent crowd for the bigger events like trivia or bingo or karaoke, but for the most part, most of the people, like the people going are middle-aged adults. For my age group, they don't really want to go. And so I went to a lot of these events, and in fact, with my family, I actually went with quite a few other families who had people of varying age groups in my age group go with me, from kindergarten all the way up to end of college level. And of the dozen or so people, I was like one of the only people to at least show up to a lot of these events just to try them out and break out my comfort zone. And unfortunately, I was disappointed, and my expectations were pretty much met, like what I expected it to be, which was party pooper. It was. And I'd have to say, for the middle-aged adults though, it's quite fun. A lot of them like the trivia and stuff. Unfortunately, the prizes, as far as they go, again, medals, that's it. And a lot of these events, not even medals, and it's hard to win when you have like 20 groups against you in a trivia contest or bingo. And sometimes it's just like a keychain, not even a medal. And so that's how it is. And so if I advise, you know, if anyone my age wants to go to these events, it can be fun for sure, but at the same time, you want to bring a lot of stuff to do and a lot of people and friends to go with, to fill up those empty hours, and also just to have a fun time. And if you're going to meet or mingle with people of the opposite gender and just have a lot of fun chasing girls and stuff, not exactly the best venue, because honestly really no one there. It's like 1% of people going that will fit that niche. So go for other reasons. Go with your family. Make sure you bring some decent books and stuff to read, and you have a great time. And in addition to that, like, there's a lot of events during the night, such as karaoke, and they'll have like one big event every night in a stage venue. They literally have a pretty big theater, and the acts, I'm gonna say mediocre. You know, like they can't afford the best acts in the world. You're not gonna see any Las Vegas acts there. You'll see like decent magic tricks and decent stand-up comedy and decent acrobatics and a decent theatrical musical performance. But just think about the size of the whole thing. They can only afford to pay certain types of people on board, so they're not going to spend a boatload on a Las Vegas high class performance. And then in the nightlife again, it goes up until midnight, and again, a lot of these events are focused towards the middle-aged elderly. And so you have like 70s night, and a lot of the coordinators or employees will dress up as 70s people, and they'll have a whole dance event and this sort of stuff. And mostly elderly and young adults go to these events, and they're just packed full. And you'll have these sort of things like singles or singles trivia, or married couple game show, that sort of thing. And it'll just be packed with people, and literally you'll just be a spectator, because the chances of being in these events are very slim. And you'll have these events like competition, like again at nighttime, young adult competition, and there'll be this competition in the center, and like 100 people watching around it. It would just be like stuff like little games like flip cup, or like little games that you have to do, like pop as many balloons as you can in this time, blow up as many, and then there'll be like 100 adults just watching and cheering and that sort of stuff. And finally, I guess the most exciting event for me that I attended was it was a strange event. I forgot what it was called, but literally you broke off into teams of about 6, and they asked for the most crazy things. Like they'd say something, and then you have to get these items and bring it up on board. And so regulars would go to this event. It happens once per cruise, and it was literally like something where they would bring all these items to make sure that they had it for this competition. And it'd be stuff like bras and the most strange stuff like underwear, or shoes, or undershirts, or thongs. And they will be like, okay, everyone come to the front with 2 bras on your head, strapped around your chin, your shirt off, 1 bra over your chest, and it has to be a male, and 2 boots in your hands, and you have to be walking on your hands. And then everyone will just start scrambling, getting the items, begging random people for items, and then just rushing up to the stage. And you've seen some stuff it's just really obnoxious and embarrassing. Once they had us go up to the stage, and they literally wanted one man to grind another, and the guy who did the most sexual dancing would win. And so everyone was up there, and literally they let everyone leave but us, because apparently I think I was doing the best job, because I think I could dance pretty decent compared to the average Joe. And I was doing some crazy dancing to like Apple Bottom, what was the song called? Low. It's a hip hop song, to this random guy, and I was grinding on him. It was just very embarrassing, and they finally let me go. And long story short, the host was like, "Wow, all I saw was angry faces doing all these dances. Why so angry?" And I was just like, "What? Why do you think we're so angry?" Obviously, the guy knew, but it was just kind of funny. And yeah, it was probably the best event of the day. It's very fun, and that's all we want to say. And as always, if you like this review, leave a like in the on the video below, and as always, comment below your opinions on it. Share this video with someone you think would like it or be influenced by it. And as always, like, favorite, comment, share, favorite, and subscribe. See you guys in my next video.